Welcome to the night mode edition of the Mark Jackson Show. I'm Mark Jackson. We're on the Come and Talk to Me Network. This is my dynamic co-host, my guy Blue. Hey Blue, can you say going back to Boston?
Man, Pops, I don't know how to feel. I want to be excited saying going back to Boston. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We got a lot to talk about. First off, shouts out to Underdog Fantasy. But Pops, what did I see tonight? This is Jekyll and Hyde. It's not right, man. It was triggering. For anybody that's at home, that's been in a relationship where somebody gaslit you, tonight was extremely triggering, man. I'm watching Derrick Jones hit in and out crossovers to the jelly layup. I'm watching Josh Green hit tip jams, Lively hitting threes in the corner. This is. I just told you I want to move on. It's time for us to see other people. And now all of a sudden you making meal prep and you doing all of this stuff. Where was this last week? Where was this defense, Luka? Tim Hardaway Jr. hitting 5 threes in 3 minutes and 20 seconds. What is this? Nah, I already moved on. I'm already with the Celtics. Don't come now trying to be all nice. You sending good morning texts. That's enough, man. No, it's too late, Pops. I'm off the Mavs bandwagon. As good as they look tonight, fool's gold, Pops. What you think?
No, I understand all of that, but if she looked better than she did before, you know.
Nah, man, you might be on to something.
No, I tell you what, it was awfully impressive the way the Dallas Mavericks responded. They didn't fold the tent. They fought. They made the proper adjustments. Jason Kidd set the tone in his pregame speech, and I'm sure he set the tone even in the practice and the film sessions building up to Game 4. Spectacular performance by them, and now the question is, are they able to build on it? Does that act that they put on in Game 4 travel to Boston? We shall see.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a situation where you were up 3-0 in a series and you were looking like, we got to finish it, or what was your mentality?
I'm sure I've been up 3-0 in series. The mindset is finish it. One thing, somebody called me earlier today, a friend who's a doctor. He's an expert doctor, but he's not an expert basketball guy. He has no clue. So he said to me, you think it makes sense for the Celtics to lose on purpose and win a championship in Boston? I'm like, that is the dumbest thing that you could possibly ask me. It is so difficult to win in the NBA. You don't surrender a game. You don't surrender a quarter. You don't surrender a possession because you give guys life. You give teams life. So the Boston Celtics didn't give this game away. The Dallas Mavericks, with their execution and their adjustments, took the game and made a huge statement. I've been in this situation. You don't want to give a team life. Unfortunately for the Mavericks, individually and collectively, unfortunately for the Celtics, individually and collectively, the Dallas Mavericks got life. Supporting cast, got it going, saw the ball go through the hoop. The defensive intensity, thought Luka set the tone by at least competing. How many times in the previous game did we see him just reach and die on the perimeter and point and blame somebody else? I could probably count one time he did it in Game 4. He took the challenge. Instead of blaming other folks, held himself accountable, and he set the tone. They saw their best player respond and react, and I thought Kyrie was spectacular. An adjustment, a huge adjustment that I've been waiting for them to make. The size and strength and ability to finish. The Boston Celtics defense has been geared towards taking away the spot-up threes and the lob passes, daring Kyrie and Luka to be scorers. I thought for the first time all series long, consistently, they got to their spots and thought score instead of pass. Luka, time and time again, got to that right hand, got a guy on his hip. How many times in the previous games we saw him pump fake, and take a wild shot instead of capitalizing with that 6'8" body, that frame, that strength, and finishing with that right hand. Kyrie Irving finishing with the left, finishing with the right, mixing it up. They got it going, and the supporting cast, when this Maverick team is at their best, everybody's involved and everybody's making plays, and they got it going defensively and offensively. It was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, I think tonight watching this game, I agree with everything that you said. The Mavericks were rolling on all cylinders. Luka played great offensively and competed defensively. This was the Luka that I've been speaking and saying that I hope that he can get this defensive intensity back. So it was good to see them play like this tonight. But it bothers me that they can play at this level and we've seen the Mavericks that we've seen for these last 3 games. So as much as I'm excited and I'm happy for them, we've never seen a team return and come back from a 3-0 deficit. And I think that the reason that is that you always regress back to the mean of what your identity is. And as great as the Mavericks can be tonight, I believe that at some point we are going to see everything even out. And even if it takes getting to 7 games, I do think that it's too late for the Mavericks. It was a show tonight. This was Dallas. This was Dallas last hurrah.
You downplaying what they did.
No, man. Come on, Pop. Dirk was on the side. This was the greatest night in Maverick. They brought all of the stops out. This was amazing. Nothing better could have happened. Even Morris came in getting buckets at the end. Everybody was scoring, man. I wanted the Mavs to call me and give me a 10-minute contract so I could join in on the fun. It was just the greatest. I don't know if it could have been a worse night for the Celtics. Maybe let's talk about that next, Pops. What did you see from the Boston Celtics tonight? And what can they do to get back their identity, the true identity that we've seen from this Celtics team?
Well, it's a make-or-miss league, and we saw them struggle from the three-point line. They give you a steady diet of shooting threes, and when they make them at a high clip and they defend at a high clip, they're tough to beat. Tonight, the threes weren't falling, and part of that is a make-or-miss league, and they were missing shots. But also, I don't want to minimize the defensive intensity and the multiple effort plays that the Dallas Mavericks made pursuing the three-point line and contesting shots. I thought it was a stellar job defensively, but if you're Boston, no need to panic, no need to overreact. Give them credit. They won a game on their home court. Now let's go back home. Let's make the proper adjustments, and let's finish this thing up. So I think you don't want to overreact if you're the Dallas Mavericks. You don't want to overreact if you're the Boston Celtics. The Dallas Mavericks, if you look at it from the standpoint, we got to win 4 games in a row, it seems like a task that is insurmountable. But you have to look at it like we won tonight or we won game 4. All we got to do now is go to Boston and win game 5. Okay, that's the only pressure we put on ourselves is to go to Boston, duplicate what we were able to do in game 4, and win game 5. And then we'll talk about game 6 moving forward. So when you think about it from that standpoint, it doesn't look like it can't be accomplished. Can we go win a game in Boston? Absolutely. That's the mindset. But if you're the Celtics, you have to find a way to end this series. You don't want to give this team life because at the end of the day, statistically seeing, they have the best player in the finals. Luka Doncic is the best player. If it's a draft, he's the number 1 pick. That's not a knock on Tatum, Brown, and Kyrie or anybody else. It's saying he has the ability to put together a string of 4 games, and so does Kyrie. Don't give them life if you're the Boston Celtics. Take care of business and end this thing in game 5 at home.
Now let me ask you that. Is it over? Or can the Mavericks make history?
They can make history. They certainly can make history. They're not, I don't pick them to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not a fool. I'm not going to say, I don't know if the Celtics lost 4 games in a row all year or when the last time that occurred. So I'm not going to pick Dallas to do it. I picked them to win the series, so I'm going to stick with it. But it's a tough task to beat this Celtic team, not 1 time, but 4 times. But the key is now it's no longer 4. So I don't have to do history. I have to beat this team 3 times. That's the way to get your mind right. I got to beat them 3 times. Can I beat them 3 times? So don't tell me I can't beat them 4. I don't have to. Take care of business in game 5. And then it's, can we beat them 2 times? So you start thinking that way. You have the ability. And if I'm Jason Kidd, I show my team the film of how we did it. We didn't just stumble onto this. This was a massacre. We murdered the Boston Celtics. But let's see how we did it. Attacking offensively, aggressive defensively, getting them on their heels when they had the basketball, not allowing them to get comfortable at the three-point line, not allowing their stars to take over the game, putting pressure on them, making them feel us. And then now we have to duplicate that even more so because they're going to be at home.
Now, Pops, let me ask you, what do you say to a Mavericks team that's going into Boston down 3-1? How do you spur them and get their mentality right going into this next game?
I basically say this is game 4 is who we are. I don't care about game 1, 2, and 3. That wasn't the Dallas Mavericks team that we've been all season long. That wasn't the Dallas Mavericks team that we've been during the course of the playoffs. Let's charge that to the game, and now let's duplicate the effort we put forth in game 4. We can make them miss shots, but one thing we can't lack in is our intensity, our effort, and our execution, our discipline to executing the game plan. When we do those things, we put ourselves in position to be awfully tough to beat. Let's make sure we leave here at the end of the game saying we did all that we could do, and we didn't just throw away a game by our poor intensity and our lack of drive and force on the offensive end or defensively. When we do those things, I guarantee you we'll be just fine. That's the mindset, and that's the approach that they have to come with. And one thing I want to say, I know you want to get to it, so I'm going to throw the lob to you. Bob Cousy, one of the all-time greats to ever play the game, from my neighborhood, St. Albans, Queens, went to Andrew Jackson High School. Bob Cousy, pump your brakes on the attack of Kyrie Irving. Put some respect on his name. He's a champion and he's an all-time great. Let's not go out of our way to attack a fellow NBA player and a guy that has had a great career and will one day join you in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, man, Pops, I appreciate the lob. Throw it off the backboard, Bob. All right, now, I didn't appreciate that. I did not appreciate that. And I got to just stand up. As much as Bob Cousy is a legend, I thought it was out of pocket for him to come out and speak on Kyrie. It's a lot of other things that could be spoken about a lot of other times. I haven't heard from Bob Cousy in my whole life. I can't even lie, Pops. And that's why it threw me off guard. I read the quote, and at the end it said Bob Cousy, and I was like, Bob Cousy? He's signing the ESPN now? Where did this come from? So I'm gonna hold it back, Pops. Just know that I did not like it, and I'm gonna let Bob Cousy off the hook. But I did not like that, and I got a lot to say. But I'm gonna show respect to my father, so I love.
Yeah, let's show respect to the great Bob Cousy. Let's charge it to the game, but pump your brakes to one of the all-time greats. Respect to you and respect to the great Kyrie Irving.
You always taught me though to get respect, you got to give respect. So sometimes when people are just so blatantly disrespectful, it makes me look like, dang, like you playing a game that's not. Ah, man, I hear you, Pops. I love you.
Oh man, how about what we have moving forward? Looking forward to this episode that's about to drop with the great Jeff Van Gundy. That's going to be special.
Yes, sir. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I know y'all excited. Before we even get to that, make sure y'all go real quick and like, comment, say something about what's going on with this series, and if y'all think the Mavs got a chance to come back.
Special guest, Jeff Van Gundy. Excited to have him. We have a lot more moving forward with special guests coming on next week. It's going to be an exciting time for the Mark Jackson Show. Thank you for your love and support. Certainly appreciate you. Blue, why don't you introduce the great Jeff Van Gundy?
One of the greatest coaches that I've ever seen in my life, that I've had the pleasure of being around. Let's give it up for Jeff Van Gundy, Pops. I know it's just us, but Pops, I know you got more to add. Come on, man.
Let me go over the resume. Two-time All Greater Rochester selection, led Brockport to a Class AA Finals, All-American at Nazareth University. Nazareth's career free throw percentage shooter, 86.8% from the free throw line.
Attended Jack, Yale. Let me interject there. I could never get there. The only time I ever got to the free throw line was when there was a technical foul. Like, I was great against cones, but man, those other players, like, I just couldn't get by them and get fouled.
How are you going to interject? I'm introducing you.
Oh, I'm
Nobody
sorry.
likes the paper.
Okay.
Nobody likes the paper.
March 8, 1996, became the head coach of the New York Knicks, leading the New York Knicks to the finals, the first number 8 seed to get to the NBA Finals. Became the Houston Rockets head coach in 2003, led USA basketball to a gold medal in 2017, the FIBA Cup, and also allowed them to qualify for the 2019 FIBA Cup World Cup. Most games announced as an analyst, NBA Finals history, and in my opinion, an absolute genius, a friend of mine, a brother, family for life, and now as a senior consultant for the Boston Celtics, who find themselves up 1-0 in the NBA Finals, the number one requested guest since we started this show, and it's not even close. The legend, the great Jeff Van Gundy.
Yeah.
What's up, brother?
And a lot of times at the end of that, Jeff Van Gundy, it's like sucks at the end of it. But I just want to say, you know, when they said, you know, when Brad Stevens gave me the title of senior consultant, I was asking him, is that because I'm old enough to be a senior citizen? And if not, do I get a junior consultant to do all the work? I never got a good answer. So
you are on 10 right now, my friend.
it's great seeing you, man. Been too long.
I tell you what, I miss you, man. I miss you. And especially watching the game last night. I miss the times we spent, breakfast, dinner, lunch, walks, working together, and just everything about you, man. I love you to death. You already know that.
Hey, you'll like this, Jack. So Boston, 2 days ago, you know, the media day, you have to practice at the arena, right? So that was close to where we used to stay when we were broadcasting together. I went to the breakfast spot, Theo's Cozy Corner. Oh, yes.
Outstanding.
Outstanding. Still only takes cash. Got to be one of the last businesses to only take cash. And to see the panic in people's eyes when they don't realize that until they're about to pay their bill, that is so fun. That makes the breakfast even better.
Even more concerning is when as a brother, the first time you had me there and I didn't have my wallet, they thought I was going to run out of the place.
Hey, they got people. That's all I know.
Tell them about the story when we went to the Waffle House on the road when it was the whole family worked there and nobody had teeth.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
They had more options on the menu than they did collective teeth in their mouths. That was rough. Food was good.
But the food was great. I still,
yeah.
You know how pictures pop up on your phone? That popped up just the other day. You and I with the family, they had no clue what we were thinking when we took the picture of them.
No, it was. I remember that.
Tell little Jack, I know you grew up in Martinez, California. Tell him how tough of a town it was for you and Stan and the family growing up there. Here we go, the suburbs. Listen to the suburb guy.
Oh, Blue. I grew up in Martinez, California. Okay, that's outside of it goes like Oakland, Walnut Creek, Concord, and then Martinez. And so my dad was the high school coach there, and then he kept coaching at different places, right? And so I used to always tell Charles Oakley this, is that, you know, he would always say what's in Martinez? I said, hey, Oak, you know why they had brick roads in Martinez? To cover up the blood. Okay? That's where I grew up. You know, I overcame Vine Hill. It was a rough, I mean, your dad grew up in Queens, Metropolis, like all good things happen there. Martinez, you navigate your way through Martinez upbringing.
Yeah.
That's hard. That's hard.
You shaking your head saying, yeah?
No, that's impressive. The way he's talking about it is it's a lot of history in those streets of Martinez.
He's lying. He's lying.
That was the original. That was the original lowriders, where they would bring the cars down to the and they would drag along. Yeah. Martinez, low riding, brick roads, tough neighborhoods, Vine Hill. I survived.
They know all his names around there. They know when they hear Jeff and Stan coming through, they get nervous.
I remember this dude, Curtis Arnold. He tried to take my lunch money in 7th grade. I don't know why that popped into my head just now, but I had this buddy, Tom Oakley, who fought him because he was trying to bully me and take my money, my lunch money.
It's a good friend.
So it's similar to you and I. I hold it down for you.
Well, maybe a little bit. Not like that.
You didn't handle it?
Blows, huh?
When he tried to take your money, you didn't handle it?
No, I had to farm that out to the tougher guy. Yeah. That was my guy.
Oh, man. Real quick, y'all, not to interrupt, but it's important that we give a shout out to our sponsors, Underdog Fantasy. Go ahead and use the promo code in the link. Use the promo code MARK MARK. They are matching a deposit of up to $250. We appreciate y'all. Now back to our conversation,
When
Coach.
you read that promo for Underdog, you know the
Yeah.
thing that stands out to me
What?
is like we had a guy on the Knicks, and we were getting off the bus one time, and you know how the autograph seekers used to come up, like they used to be outside. We were in Milwaukee. It was 3 a.m. playing back to back, and we were getting to a hotel. And so, you know, everybody always sits in the same spot on the bus, and everybody gets off in the same order. I don't know why it works that way. There's no rules, but I just remember when hearing that from the first time you said it. I was following this guy off the bus, and this little boy ran at 3 a.m. Little boy's running over. His dad's trying to make some cash off an autograph, and says to the player, "You're my favorite player." And the guy says, "Well, what's your name?" He said, "Mark with a C." And my guy spelled it CARK.
That's what my promo pitch reminds you of every time. It takes you back to that moment.
I always think when you spell Mark, I always think Mark with a C. That's my.
No, I gotta make sure.
Change the Underdog promo to Mark with a C.
No, thanks.
Don't get them confused, man. I'm telling you, people be confused. Underdog called me a few times, like, yo, make sure you get it right or else. So, Coach, I'm a little nervous. It's taking me back to.
All right,
unfortunately, I know who that player is.
Yeah. Excellent player.
I'm not going to say anything.
All right. Having both of you here, Coach, I really haven't had you speak about this. I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I would like to know, seeing you and my father, Mike Breen, just the whole team, for years I watched you guys, and everybody loved what you guys had, which is such a special thing.
Not everybody.
Well, most of us.
Yeah. Okay.
But Coach, I want to know, what was it like just emotionally closing that door and moving into your next segment of life?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. You know, I got fired on June 30th, and then my youngest Grayson went to school in August, so we became empty nesters. Then my sister-in-law tragically passed away in the middle of August as well, and my best friend in Houston contracted cancer and subsequently died this spring. And
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah, and so for me, when I went to work for the Celtics after the World Cup last fall, I only knew Brad Stevens a little bit. And I was really in an awkward place in life, you know, not really knowing, you know, where I was going or what my purpose was or how I was going to be with this new group of people where I didn't know anyone. And quite frankly, it's been one of the most rejuvenating things I've ever gone through. Brad Stevens and Joe Mazzulla threw me a lifeline, and everybody on that coaching staff has welcomed me with open arms. It's a very young coaching staff. Sam Cassell is, I think, the oldest. There's no one else other than Sam that's over 40 years old. I have learned so much. I have been embraced and you know, welcomed in, and the whole organization, from ownership to Brad's staff to the coaching staff, has just been remarkable. And I think your dad would agree with this: is that you can never have better team chemistry than you have coaching staff chemistry. And one of the things that Joe, he's such a good coach and a great leader, but what he's done so very well is assemble a group of coaches that care about the results more than the credit. They have great chemistry together. And, you know, these staffs have exploded in size. So that's an even bigger challenge now than it's ever been. And I admire how he coaches his team, but also coaches his coaching staff and allows them both a voice and a runway to express what they feel, and then everyone falls into line behind what Joe decides is best for the group. It's, after this summer, I was not in a great place, and I'll always and forever be appreciative of what the Celtics, Brad Stevens, Joe Mazzulla, and that coaching staff has done for me.
Well, thank you, Coach, for being willing to answer and just shed a little light. I appreciate it. I know you said a mouthful, Pops. You got anything to add on or any reflection? I know one thing that came to my mind really quickly, just seeing Coach over these years, was just the love of the game that he had. I remember us going and watching when he was coaching the Team USA team, and just under 19, Coach? Was it under 19?
Oh, it was it was mostly G League guys who were
Okay.
Yeah, we were, as Mark mentioned, we were trying to qualify for, you have to go through qualifications now. And so the G Leaguers qualify. So like the stars like that was on our World Cup team or on our Olympic team this summer can actually play, So the G Leaguers that have played for USA Basketball, shout out to Sean Ford, USA Basketball, and all of those players who won't be recognized in the Olympics this summer, but who paved the way so that our stars like Kevin Durant, LeBron James, et cetera, could play in Paris. That is reflective of the work of the G League players and many other coaches who have gone through these qualifying windows. And so that's where you saw me in those things. And that's one reason I fell back in love with the G League. Love those players.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this, just piggybacking off what you talked about. I witnessed the picking selection of the players. I witnessed, Coach spending time going back and forth to practice and putting a team together and giving his input and all those things. There is not another person, dead or alive, another coach, dead or alive, and I said it before, that could have put this team in position to qualify for a gold medal. It was as fine a basketball job from a coaching standpoint that I've ever seen in my entire life. It made me proud as a family member, as a brother, as a friend. And he's a senior consultant, but he is a basketball genius and a coach like no other. I played for at least 7 Hall of Famers off the top of my head, 7 guys that are coaching Hall of Famers, and this guy is certainly better than. I'm trying to be nice. I've been around. There's guys in the Hall of Fame that can't hold this guy's cup of tea. So, and I'm saying that respectfully because I watched him work. I watched him work his tail off. I watched him prepare. And when it came time for me to interview for coaching jobs or just chop up basketball, he's the guy that I get on the phone with and have dialogue with.
Yeah, it's interesting when you go through different things, and when you coach different players. I'd always when I was like when I remember this at Houston, we had our G League team, and it was new then and was used differently. It was they were more separate. Now the teams do an unbelievable job integrating the G League teams with the big team. And so I think like what I didn't do as well is I used it as punishment. I think our team was in Laredo. I'm like, dude, if you don't run back on defense, you're going to Laredo tomorrow. So, it's like different now. It's like it's different. But I because of that, because of my I think I coached I don't know 8, 10, 12 separate teams, all composed of these G League guys. I really have such respect for their journeys, what they're trying to accomplish. And that you think about it, they're in the top 500, 600 players in the world in their profession. And because the cutoff is, let's say, 430, the economic difference is so great that they're not partaking in a lot of the money that these NBA players are. But that doesn't diminish how good they are at what they do. I mean, these guys are outstanding players in the G League.
I got a question. you're sitting at home as a kid growing up with Stan. What was the discussions about basketball wise? How did you guys? I mean, did you know you were going to be coaches down the road because your dad was?
You know, it's so interesting to me because when you are raised in a basketball environment, and especially small college basketball environment, the access you get is incredible. Like you can go to practices. You're sitting on the bench during the game. I witnessed a game. My dad he was an assistant coach at this. It's called Cal State East Bay, but it used to be Cal State Hayward, and he was both the JV head coach and the varsity assistant. So because of injuries to the varsity, they had to take up my dad's best player. And so he only had 5 guys to play a JV game. So when the game starts, it's my dad and me on the bench. And I'm eating M&Ms and eating oranges that I just cut up for the team because there's no one there, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like with my dad. Well, the game goes on. They're up 14, okay? And this dude on my dad's team, I think his name was Don something. I remember this guy. He takes 2 bad shots in a row. My dad tried to sub him out of the game. He wanted to play 4-on-5 versus. So the referee is trying to figure it out. Like, can you do that? I'm like, even me, I was like, I don't know, 10 at the time. I'm like, that's not good. If the coach wants to take you out and play 4-on-5, you must be screwing up. Plus, you're going to cut into my oranges. I need my oranges. I need my snacks. Yeah, but it was great because you had all this access. I was in the locker room, like before every game. And what you don't realize is all you're learning just by being around and watching players, how they prepare and how they play and how my dad either would, react or that. And you know what? To me, winning, it's no different in the NBA than it is a JV game at Cal State Hayward. The joy after the first 5 minutes after a great road win, like played even before like 12 people, man, it felt great. And that's what you learn. You learn like there's differences in talent, but what goes into winning and losing is the same. And how you feel after, a great win, it doesn't change, due to how many people are in the stands. It just feels great.
Now, go ahead, Pops.
Tell your story. I forgot the coach's name when he looked at the players at the bench and went down the bench, looked everybody in the eye.
So I was in college in the East Coast, and I got cut from my team, right? Mm-hmm. So I transfer I went from Yale to a JUCCO in California named Menlo College. It's right down the street from Stanford. It's now a 4-year school. All right. Mm-hmm. So it was a JUCCO then. And my coach was a legend, unbelievable coach. His name was Bud Presley. So we're playing at Gavilan College, about a couple hours away. And we are hammering this team. And he had a tight 8-man rotation when the games were tight. So we're up like, I'm going to say 30 at half, and it's now pushed to 40. And we're hovering at 40, we'll say about 7 minutes to go. And still been the 8 guys. We have like 15 on the team. So he stands up, and I'm on the court, and I think, oh man, he's going to take us out now. And, no one's in the gym, so you can hear everything. And he moves down, and he puts himself right in front, squats down, and he puts himself right in front of each player. And he looks at him, and then he moves to the next player. And then he keeps going through the rest of the team, and he stands up at the end, and was at a free throw, and he goes, you all suck. And he sits down, and he did not sub. Oh, man. I got some – Bud Presley, this guy could really coach. And here's one for you. And I told Coach Krzyzewski this, but Bud Presley was known as he was a man-to-man guru, right? So he like everything we practiced charges, loose balls, old school. Like it was like every practice was like you just trying to survive, like the physical contact. I weighed probably 130 pounds in and just getting, mauled. So back then, JUCOs could start anytime. There are no rules, right? But Division I, you couldn't start till October 15th. So Coach Krzyzewski, early in his Duke career, was out there. He wasn't Coach K yet. He was just Coach Krzyzewski, right? And so Bud, he was like a mentor to this guy. He said he was coming to practice. Well, 3:30 comes around, Coach Krzyzewski not there. Bud sits over in a chair and starts pouting. Assistant coach starting to run the practice. Coach Krzyzewski comes in like 15 minutes late, and I'm going to change the wording for this program, but Bud gets up and he goes, "Kid," he called everybody kid. "Kid, I knew you wouldn't screw me. I knew you wouldn't screw me." And then he had this thing that he would always yell at the end of practice when he wanted practice to end, but everybody to come together. He was saying "hoota hoop" or "to the hoop," but it went to "hoota hoop." So he goes "hoota hoop, hoota hoop." But this was the first practice of the year. As young players, we didn't know the danger that lied on the other side of the hoota hoop. So we see all these guys, the older guys, running over, but they're staying in the back. Well, Bud, you're supposed to mess his hair up. But as you're messing his hair up, he's throwing uppercuts, and he catches my friend right in the groin. This dude goes backpedaling. He falls out. I'm like, who is dangerous? Then we went on to practice, and it was the greatest practice I've ever been a part of as a player because the intensity was off the charts. Like Bud was such a great coach. These guys, the older players, like knew how to practice. And then you throw in Mike Krzyzewski's there. So 40 years later, I asked Mike Krzyzewski, "Do you remember being at that practice?" And it killed me. He said, "Nah, I don't remember."
So you say "hoota who"?
Hoota who. It was like hoota who, but like everybody ran over when you didn't know. Like you're just like going with the crowd. And I'm telling you, Jack, you're a boxing guy. And he was a boxer when he was a young kid, right? He said one time about his dad, he goes, he would get on his knees, put the boxing gloves, and beat the hell out of me. I love that man. Right? So he was a boxing glove, and he would be like throwing uppercuts. But we didn't know it. But from then on, man, we were always hanging out in the back. Hoota hoo. We were like rubbing his head with that. He was dangerous.
All right, Coach. Going back, I know you told us you grew up in just a basketball family. Was there a moment where you said to yourself, "I think I want to coach," or did it just come to be?
Well, I think again, you're getting all these advantages that you don't even realize as you're, growing up. To be able to study other coaches, I kept the scorebook, for most of like my dad's games when I was young, because it was just there was no one else. And I mean, so you're sitting there and you're watching coaches make decisions about who to play, how to play, what to run, what not to run. So it was awesome. But I think by the time I was, graduating high school, going to college, I had a good inkling that I wanted to coach, but I never thought of like levels. I started out as a high school coach and then got the biggest break in my coaching life when Coach Pitino hired me as a graduate assistant at Providence College. I do want to say the 1 year I was there as a graduate assistant with Coach Pitino, we beat your Pops team 3 times. He's still like complaining that he had a bad back in the Big East tournament, that Mr. Hugh, your neighbor, Mr. Dick, like had him carrying like bricks around or some crazy excuse instead of just saying that Billy Donovan like was like coming at him like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Billy Donovan
was cooking him?
He cooked everything.
I helped Mr. U with the cement and my back got messed up.
Yeah, tell a story, Pops. Come on.
Yeah, that's the story. The day before the Big East
Every time
game.
it's a story with you getting 40, you got a lot to say. But this loss, you don't have nothing to say. Yeah, that's it.
No. Mr. U was out. He was a construction worker, so he was out doing cement and stuff. And I'm like, why is he doing it by himself? It was the day before the Big East tournament game. I'm like, let me go give him a hand. I'm lifting bricks, and I wake up the next morning, and my back is on fire. So I scored 0 points in the first half, 17 in the second half, but I couldn't move. If you watch the film, you see me fighting my body trying to find it.
Okay, all right. I believe you. I got to see the footage though. I got to double check.
I just want to.
Coach, are you buying it?
You know, I'm buying it to some degree, but I want to say that I wish I would have. So much went down on that block. And I want to know. Like, there's so many stories that we can't even tell here. You know, and Mr. Hugh, he was a nosy neighbor. Like, you know, he was like, you know, he knew when things were going wrong, like what was happening at the house. Like,
no. Time out. That was Mr. Berry. That was the one that told.
Oh, that was
the
Mr.
second
Berry?
story. Yes.
Can you tell that one? You might not be able to. You might not be able to tell that story.
No, I don't want to tell it.
Yeah, you can't tell that. We got an editor.
No, it's not helpful for the people that's involved. So
yeah,
I'll leave
it was a great story. But there was a lot going down on the block, you know. So
a whole lot. It was fun times.
Yeah.
Great stories. I got a question for you though. What did it feel like when you were chosen to be the next head coach of the New York Knicks?
Man, well, I think there were conflicting emotions because, and what you realize when you're in the coaching world is often the great opportunities you receive come at the expense of someone else losing their job. And so there are these conflicting emotions, and particularly because I was on the staff with Coach Nelson, and it showed you also how different New York was then compared to maybe what it was for 20 years. Charles Oakley was hurt a majority of Coach Nelson's time there. I think he got hurt, broke his hand in let's say January, and Coach Nelson got fired in March. And you know what our record was when he got fired? I believe 34-27. 34-27 with one of your top players out. But that's where the standard was for the Knicks at that time. So I felt awful for him. And I learned so much because you mentioned, Jack, that you were able to play for maybe 6-7 Hall of Fame coaches, right? And you learned so much from each one when you're coaching. And Coach Nelson was so different than Coach Riley that I learned so much from him and took so much from Coach Riley as well. But it was unfortunate. But when I got the job, this is when you learn about the importance of players in the NBA. So our first game is we're playing against John Lucas and the Philadelphia 76ers. I learn of Coach Nelson gets fired the morning of that game. I take over. I have no idea. Am I supposed to sit or stand, yell or not? What am I doing? Philly had the worst team in the league. I think Dana Barros was their best player. Maybe Scott Skiles was still playing for them. I'm not sure, but they were terrible. We got run off the floor and I remember sitting on that bus going back to Purchase, New York, and they had given us these Philly cheesesteaks, and I couldn't even stomach it. My stomach was turning, and I'm thinking to myself the whole time, man, I'm going to be the only coach in NBA history who never wins a game. Never wins a game. Right? 2 hours up the turnpike, and all I'm thinking about is I think I had 21 games or 23 games left, whatever it was. I'm looked at the schedule. There ain't a win on the schedule. They're not one. You're not going to win, right? So our second game is on NBC. So we played that. That was a Friday. Saturday we practiced. Sunday we're playing what turns out to be the 72-10 Bulls. So we just lost to the worst team in the league. Now we're going to be playing the team that until the Warriors eclipsed it is going to have the best record of all time, NBA history. Jordan, Pippen, those dudes. We win by 30. like Patrick and he was dominant. Derek Harper was like nasty as he always was, like all the guys, Mason, all these guys, and Charlie Ward was one of the first things I did was put him in the rotation, and because I just believe so much in his character and his anticipatory skills defensively, I think he made like 4 or 5 threes in the game. I think I passed out halfway through the fourth. Like, what's going on? I didn't think we were going to win a game in the NBA the rest of the year. And now I'm thinking, we could win it all.
That's good stuff, y'all, man. Appreciation. Much love to Coach Jeff Van Gundy. We appreciate you stopping by, spending time with us. And it is part 2 on the way, y'all. So look forward to it. Let's give a shout out to our sponsors, Underdog Fantasy. Go ahead and click the link in the description. They're matching the first time deposit of up to $250. We appreciate y'all.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Mark Jackson Show. I'm Mark Jackson. We're on the Come and Talk to Me Network. This is my guy, Blue. Certainly appreciate all the love and support. Remember, impact somebody. Be a game changer. Old man once said, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but judge it by the seeds that you plant. Inspire somebody. Inspire somebody. Be a difference maker. Blessings.